everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to talk about the DC Universe as we know it, and does it really need a reboot? Because I have seen a lot of people who are excited about the DC reboot, who are excited about this 10-year plan. If I had a nickel for every time DC had a 10-year plan, I might have $1. Like, honestly, they've always had a plan. And I know a different regime, but there has been 3 different regimes at Warner Brothers. It was regular Warner Brothers' attempt to start a universe with Green Lantern. That failed. Then AT&T, and then they tried to start another universe with Zack Snyder, and that failed. AT&T got them. Tried to do some stuff, tried to force, tried to make Justice League and to force this thing into being a universe. And they started announcing stuff, and that failed. They started announcing the Green Lantern show that now apparently isn't happening. They announced the Batgirl that got canceled. Now I'm hearing that the fucking Static Shock movie is getting canceled. And now we got Discovery, who's coming out saying they got this elaborate 10-year plan as they're canceling basically 75% of every DC project that was announced outside of, so far, the Penguin show, spin-off show. Constantine is apparently still a go. Blue Beetle is still happening. But, there's not a lot. There's not a ton of them. So for some reason, the Alfred Pennywise show is still happening. But all of these different shows are still just, kind of all over the place. And honestly, Discovery, as so many people are so excited about Discovery and excited about the concept of DC becoming at least a Marvel adjacent, in having an entire cinematic universe, because DC fandom has had this kind of, because I was about to say DC fandom has had this illusion that DC could just become DC could just turn around and be as big as the MCU, just what the MCU is. And on top of that, you hear rumors and whatnot that apparently the guy who's running Discovery thinks that this is the end of the MCU and that the MCU is going to go completely off a cliff and now they can come in and replace the MCU and take it up and have all the MCU shine. And it's just slow your roll there. We need to see the first goddamn project made by you guys before we can even judge a plan. Because it's going to be years before we even see anything from Discovery in terms of their direction for DC. So we won't really know for at least 3 years probably. Because there's still so many projects that are still going to come out. And so we really won't know. But that's all besides the point. Mostly this video, I really just want to talk about, did DC actually need rebooting? Because I would argue that DC, outside of this, even with the Snyder Cut stuff, has found something, a niche, something outside of having a cinematic universe, a connected cinematic universe like the MCU. I mean, they have found something with these completely isolated films. You gotta look, when you really look back at it, the last 4 DC projects that have been released were well received. If you look at it, Suicide Squad by James Gunn, it may not have made a ton of money, but it's wildly regarded as one of the best superhero movies, as either the best superhero movie of that year, or at least one of the best superhero movies. It's regarded, it's got one of the highest ratings for any superhero movie. And then you got Peacemaker, which was a great show and was a big hit. Then you got something and then you got The Batman, which was a great movie and a big hit. You know what I mean? When you really take a step back and kind of look at it, you know what I mean? You realize there's so many, even with things all over the place, the one thing that it's allowed DC the ability to do is to be able to just give directors and give people whatever they want. And that's what I thought DC's path to success was. It wasn't in the cinematic universe game. They don't have Kevin Feige. I don't care what Zaslav is talking about. I don't care if he's got goddamn what's his name? I already forgot the goddamn head of the movie studios. Why am I blanking? Alan Horn. I don't care if he's got Alan Horn. He doesn't have Kevin Feige. Alan Horn was a piece of the puzzle, but Kevin Feige is the special sauce. It was Bob Iger, Alan Horn, and Kevin Feige made the MCU what it is. He's just one piece. Sorry. He's just one piece. But without Kevin Feige, it's still not gonna happen. And there is no other Kevin Feige just hanging around. So this cinematic universe idea, it sounds cool in concept, but I don't think it's gonna work. And I think they had something going. In fact, I think they should double down on the whole on being the exact opposite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think they should double down on being the place where directors and thought I heard something. Oh, it was my AC. I was like, did I hear something? It was my fucking AC. But anyways, I think they should double down on being the place where directors and whatnot can just come to do whatever they want to do. It's how you end up with the Joker and the Batman. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Joker, but there's no denying that the Joker is a very unique movie in the comic book space, in the comic book movie landscape, and the Batman, and like in the Suicide Squad. Like if you do a cinematic universe, you will be like, I love the MCU, but there's only so far the MCU can stretch it, because I've often said the reason that I don't think the MCU, with Deadpool's the exception, would do all hardcore R-rated stuff or do certain things or even like stretch out, like go really different with the visuals, is because we have to believe these things fit in the same universe. And if you go too far with your visual styling, with the way it's written and with the tones, if you go too far, you could go, but you can't go too far. If you go too far, it won't be believable that these characters exist in the same universe. But the advantage that DC had, I thought anyways, before they started to try to go back to being the MCU is that they had the ability to just do their own thing, let characters do their own thing, let movies be self-contained, and I was fine with that. I really was. They just had to establish that they're not trying to do a universe. And that's why I'm thinking, in my brain, I was thinking, like, did they really need to do anything? They could have just kept going down this path. And some movies would be great and some movies wouldn't be great. But that'd be fine, because that's just how that works anyways. But to change gears, and it feels like, because I don't see how they can keep the Matt Reeves Batman thing going. I'm not sure how James Gunn can. I'm not sure how the Aquaman movie and the Wonder Woman movies and the James Gunn's Suicide Squad spin-offs, and I'm not sure how you can continue to do those if you want to have a cohesive cinematic universe, because you can't have a cinematic universe with multiple Batman running around, with multiple versions of characters running around. You know what I mean? With multiple continuities running around. It's why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is built the way that it's built, is for synergy. There's one Iron Man. There aren't three Iron Man. There's not an Iron Man on TV and then an Iron Man who was in the movies, and then no, there is one fucking Iron Man. There's one fucking Thor. There's they're mostly one Spider-Man outside the animated world. Like, there is one version of these characters, and everything is built around that version of the character on screen, in live action anyways. So to have so many characters all over the place in different movies and products and have different versions of characters, I'm just not sure that can work. You can't have both. You can't. It just doesn't work like that. And it'll be just confusing for the audience who, at best, it'll piss off the audience, because the audiences will want that version of the Batman or the Joker in the cinematic universe, and you're not going to be able to give it to them. So I feel like the only way they can get to where they want to be, which is with the MCU, at where the MCU is if they completely cut off all of these great independent, like, kind of isolated side things that they're doing. The Batman, maybe a third sequel to the Joker, depending on how it does. Maybe something with James Gunn and the Suicide Squad. The only way, because now I'm hearing that some of these projects got canceled just because they fit into a different continuity that they're not going to continue. So, in short, I really think that perhaps they were too hasty. Maybe I think they should have doubled down on the whole individual and, you know, keeping things separated. Because the only way they can get to where the MCU is if they pretty much get rid of a lot of the good movies and stuff that have actually come out, because they have gotten a little bit of goodwill. I mean, with movies like Suicide Squad and the Batman being the last two big theatrical releases, that's a pretty fucking good two hit combo right there. And it just feels like they found something. They were just starting to figure something out. And now we're going to go back to trying to be like the MCU. And if it fails, then it's just like, what are Discovery going to do? They're going to fucking they're going to fucking sell Warner Brothers for the second fucking time? Again? I just don't know. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and what do you think? Do you think DC needed a reboot? Do you think they need a reboot? Do you think they need to try to make themselves into a MCU-like universe? Or did you like what they were doing with their like separate projects, doing their own thing, being very unique and not connected, and allowing great directors to come in and just do what they want to do? Comment below, let me know. And I will see you guys on the next one. Please like, subscribe. See you guys.